Okay, part 2 of the avocado rant, because I realized that I forgot to mention about driving. Again, with the hating on drivers, I don't hate all drivers. It's not all drivers. It's just the ones that think that they can drive, but they can't actually drive. The ones who sit there and text and drive. The ones who see a bicycle, realize that it's that bicycle's right of way, and decide that, oh, hey, I'm gonna cut this bitch off anyway because I'm a hot shit. No, you're not. You're driving a 2-ton weapon, and you're deciding to potentially take the life of that cyclist that you're about to cut off. If you lose control of your car and turn improperly, you've got the potential to take the life of that cyclist that you're about to cut off. If that cyclist doesn't realize, because you're coming from behind them, if that cyclist doesn't realize that you're about to dart in front of them and turn right in front of them and cut them off from behind them, if they don't realize that, you have every potential to take their life because they can't stop in time. Not everyone is like me. Not everyone can hear your right turn signal while you're still behind them. In fact, most people can't. Most people don't have that kind of insane sense of hearing. Hell, with my earplugs in at work, even I can't do that. But, then I get my earplugs out and I get on the ride home and I'm just like, oh, wow. I hear a turn signal from behind me. Now, that could be one of two things. That could be the person coming up behind me, or that could be the person going that way. And, maybe they want to turn. But I'll hear a turn signal behind me and I'll be like, okay, I'm not sure exactly where that's coming from. But then I'll kind of figure it out as the cars keep going. And then I'm like, okay, well, that I can definitely hear is literally right behind me in what most people call the blind spot. Or it'll fade away and never get close to me, and I'll realize, okay, that was the person going that way. But most people can't do that. So if you're about to speed up and rush past a bicyclist just so that you can turn right directly in front of them, most people aren't going to realize that you're even there until you're right there and they don't have time to stop. And first of all, that's the bicyclist's right of way anyway, so what the hell are you doing? But you're taking the chance of taking a bicyclist's life when you do that. And yeah, people like that need that kind of hate. They need that kind of hate. They deserve that kind of hate. And quite frankly, they need to lose their licenses. Now, I don't hate every driver. Just the other day, I had someone actually drive me and a crap ton of food into work. Right before Christmas break, because I wanted to share some food, my cooking, and be a happy, jolly, nice person for Christmas. Obviously, that wouldn't have worked if I tried to do it on my bike. Even with the trailer, the food would end up in the trailer, not in the Tupperware anymore, in the trailer. And I wasn't trying to have people try to eat it out of my trailer. That would just be gross. So yeah, every so often I do catch a ride with somebody. When my parents come down, granted, my parents are old enough to have an excuse. Sometimes I wonder if my mom should be driving. But But I mean, they're old enough to have an excuse. Now, I will sit there and scold them. So, it's not like they're getting off on driving terribly. No, I have sat there and had lengthy discussions with my mom, like, Mom, please. I've even told my dad, like, Dad, stop texting and driving. They don't usually listen. But, I guess it's whatever. But anyway, I don't hate all drivers. I just hate the ones that suck. I just hate the ones that absolutely straight up refuse to be like, oh, hey, that's that biker's right of way. I'm going to concede to the laws of the road. Those are the drivers I hate. And even the texting drivers, you know what? Honestly, as long as you concede to the other laws of the road and you are in fact paying attention, I don't care if you want to text and drive. Even I changed the song on my phone while I'm driving my bicycle. Okay? Like, even I changed the song on my phone. Even I will try and switch over to Google Maps or something dumb, and usually I'll end up pulling over. Usually I will end up pulling over, but every so often I'll get it in a couple tries. Even I use my phone and drive my bicycle, okay? So I can't expect everyone to just never, ever, 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 ever text and drive. Never, ever, 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 ever use their phone and drive. That being said, you are driving 2-ton weapons, and I can expect you to pay enough attention to realize that, oh, hey, there's a bicyclist right there. They have the green light. So that means that if I'm turning right now, it is the bicyclist's right of way. And yes, I absolutely can and do expect you to concede to the laws of the road, which state that it is the bicyclist's right of way. That's not just for me, that's for all bicyclists. All bicyclists have that right of way, okay? Those roads originally were not built for cars. They were actually built for horse-drawn carriages and bicycles. Okay? They later got paved for cars because humanity decided to become slightly lazier. Okay, in some aspects that turned out better. In other aspects, it's turning out more dangerous. And it's not just car on bicycle danger either. It's car on pedestrian. I can't even tell you how many times I've been in a crosswalk on my signal and gotten hit by a car. Actually, I can tell you, it's been exactly 3 times. And then on top of that, there was that one time that I got hit by a car on my bicycle, which is now 4 times that I've been hit by a car on my right of way. Okay? Drivers, you really need to pay attention. As simple as that. There is absolutely when a pedestrian is in a crosswalk with a walk light signal, like the electric pedestrian walk things that have the boop beep boop 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 when you go or stop. There's no excuse for a driver to hit a pedestrian in that kind of crosswalk. Okay, if it's a crosswalk that doesn't have a light and it's in the middle of a main road and it doesn't have a light and there's no stop sign, okay, I understand. That one actually makes sense. And hey, guess what? I don't use those crosswalks. Half the time, I don't even know they're there. Unless I'm on my bicycle and somebody's in the middle of them and I'm like, oh my god, what are you doing? Stop jaywalking. And then as I'm riding over the paint, I feel it on my tires and I'm like, oh, that was a crosswalk. But at the same time, I don't hit them just in case it was a crosswalk. Now, that being said, if somebody is in the crosswalk and I know it's not their signal, I'm not going to try to avoid them. I'm not going to slow down because obviously they're jaywalking. But if you're in the crosswalk and it is your signal on the light, your light says walk. Like the pedestrian light says walk. There's no excuse for a car hitting that pedestrian. I don't care what time of night it is. I don't care if the pedestrian is wearing black. I don't care if the pedestrian is wearing red, blue, yellow, black in the middle of the night. I don't care if they had reflectors on. Their pedestrian sign said walk. It is their right of way. And if you hit them, you have no excuse. And if you hit them, I genuinely hope that pedestrian gets right back up off the ground, pulls you out of your car, and beats the living shit out of you until you die. There's no excuse for hitting a pedestrian in a crosswalk on their signal. For real. Now, if you're at one of those not-so-main crosswalks that doesn't have a signal, by law, you're actually supposed to stop and, pay attention. Make sure that cars going both ways have stopped. Or if it's a one-way road, make sure that cars in both lanes have stopped for you before you go. You're supposed to actually be cautious in those crosswalks. If it's your signal, you don't have to. You're supposed to go as soon as your signal changes. So if your signal changes and you go, and you then proceed to get hit by a car, first of all, that's not your fault. And second of all, you should really beat the shit out of the person in the car that hit you, because they need to lose their license for life. On top of that, when you're done beating the shit out of that person, you should then proceed to sue them and make sure that they lose their license for life. And you know what? If you don't beat the shit out of them, good on you. Congratulations, you are an amazing person. But you absolutely need to make sure that they lose their license for life. I'm not kidding. Anyone who is willing to hit a pedestrian in a crosswalk with their car on the pedestrian signal, they need to never be allowed to drive again. They need to not be operating 2-ton weapons. As simple as that. As simple as that. I understand that Americans have the right to bear arms. But these aren't arms that we're talking about. These are potential weapons of mass destruction, really. If you drive through a crowded parade area, that's a weapon of mass destruction. We're not talking about arms. We're not talking about, Okay, I honestly kind of lost track there. I've been up for a while. I've been awake for entirely too long. But, no, seriously, that's why I hate on drivers. And it's not all drivers. I don't hate every driver. There are certain people who are exceptions to the rule. That being said, if you do drive, and you drive everywhere, I do expect you to be able to keep up with me. Unless you drive because of a disability, I do expect you to keep up with me, because that means that whatever energy you didn't spend biking or walking, you saved it by driving, which means that you have that energy to expend in order to keep up with me. If you drive and there's nothing wrong with you and you still can't keep up with me, I'm sorry, but I'm not impressed. I'm not gonna hate on you, but I'm not impressed, because you absolutely should be able to keep up. Simple as that. That's what cars are for, so that you can do more than someone on a bicycle, so that you can do more than someone who's walking. Just thought I'd clarify those couple things, because apparently some people think I'm kind of a cunt. Okay, bye, toodles.